Hey guys, how you doing? Welcome back to the channel, and today we are gonna give our thoughts on episode 5 of the Last of Us TV show. So, as you may know, this was the episode that came out earlier on Friday/Saturday because of the Super Bowl. And I feel like I'm saying this every week, but this is now officially my favorite episode of the series. So, this is the episode where we tackle Sam and Henry's story. If you remember that from the game, we learn more about Kathleen, who seems to be the leader of the people of Kansas City. They kind of represent the hunters. So, yeah, let's get straight into it. So when I'm watching the show, I try not to compare to the game in the sense that if something happens that's straight from the game, like some of the Easter egg moments, the banter between Joel and Ellie, you know, when she's doing the joke book or she's looking at the magazine, or when they crash into the shop on episode 4 and shoot out with the hunters, you know, I try not to compare exactly how it is to the game. I just try to enjoy it for what it is. But halfway through this episode, I did make my first kind of immediate comparison thought in the sense that I enjoyed Henry and Sam in the TV show more than I did in the game. And that's a testament to the way they've portrayed them on screen, the actors playing the roles, and just everything, all the plot that's kind of intertwined with them. So Joel and Ellie are in Kansas City, which seems to be ruled by this group of people headed up by a lady called Kathleen. This group kind of represents the hunters, I believe, from the game, even though they're not called that. And they've overthrown Fedra in their town, which is quite impressive. They seem to have complete in charge of their city. So Henry is the most wanted man in Kansas City. Kathleen is dying to get her hands on him. We don't know why. Henry and Sam are brothers who are trying to escape Kansas City, and an element they've added into this film is that Sam is deaf. So Henry communicates with him through sign language, and Sam has a kind of tablet where he can write upon, and then it's like an Etch-a-Sketch where he can just kind of get rid of the writing and then pass it to you, and you can write notes down, pass it to someone else, you can write notes down on it, and it's how he communicates with people. The actors cast as Henry and Sam are so good. Sam is really amazing, really endearing, as this young kid kind of having to hear through his brother. So like if they hear a shootout, whatever, he'll ask his brother what's going on. His brother will have to describe it. It really just, I don't know, it just really bonds you to them. Henry's really well cast. He's kind of, he knows who he is. You know, he knows he's not some kind of hard guy, tough guy, survivor. He's not good at using guns and stuff. So he's kind of he knows what he is and what he needs to help him get his brother out and away from safety. So the reason I like this episode so much was going back to the games in part 2. I really liked the gray area of morals in the game, in that Abby, kind of at the beginning, Abby is presented as like the bad person, the villain of the piece because of what she does. And then you learn her story, and me personally, I was like, yeah, you have every right to get revenge. I have absolutely every right. Like I'm with Abby on that. And then at the same time, Ellie has every right to kind of avenge what happens. So it's almost, you know, it's about the cycle of revenge, and some of those themes creep into this show really well. So, you know, major spoiler alert, which I think I've put on the thumbnail. Kathleen's brother was the leader of the resistance, and Henry, for lack of a better term, snitches on him to Fedra and sets him up so that Fedra captures Kathleen's brother and eliminates him. So Kathleen, understandably and correctly so, wants revenge on Henry. The reason Henry did it was because Sam had an illness that he could die from, and Fedra said to him that we have just enough medicine to save his life, but you need to do something big for us. So Henry did what he had to do, and Henry kind of did the right thing. If you see it from Henry's perspective, he saved his younger brother. Kathleen hunting Henry, it's from her perspective, it's the right thing to do. So there's no right and wrongs in this little plot that they've created. It's just a huge gray area of morals and conflict. And one of the highlights of the show, really one of the peak moments, is when Henry and Joel. In fact, I'll get onto that in a second. But in terms of the game, so in terms of this part of the game being played out in a show, Henry and Sam. Henry has a plan to help Joel and Ellie get to the outskirts of the city, but he needs Joel's kind of tough guy backup help. He needs, Joel to clear the way of clickers and stuff. So they go underground, and you have this poignant moment where you remember from the game where you discover the school that's underground, where people who lived underground built a school and shelter for children, which is really sweet. So they kind of just take a bit of a break there. And Henry explains to Joel why he's the most wanted man in Kansas. And it's one of the great moments of the episode where Henry talks about giving up a guy, and it's the way he talks about Kathleen's brother, the guy. He talks him up so much. He's like a kind man, an amazing man, the best man I'll ever know. And it's like, what? So clearly, the way everyone, you never see Kathleen's brother, but you hear a lot of characters talk about him, and he's clearly a great leader with a big heart who really cared about the people and wanted to take back control of the city from Fedra for the sake of the people, to have some kind of normalcy and fairness. So then the episode continues. Ellie and Sam bond really well and have really great chemistry as, two kids in this awful world, just kind of getting along and doing kiddish things, which is really sweet to see. And then you have a great moment from the game that's dropped in. It's the sniper rifle sequence. When the four of them are on that long suburban road and the guy at the end of the house has got the sniper rifle, and you're Joel and you have to kind of go around the side and go through all these hunters to get to the guy. They have that sequence at nighttime, and they have it just with someone with a sniper rifle, no other people involved. And it's just done so well. And then it kind of the show kind of explodes with this kind of huge action climax, and probably the biggest action set piece so far, I think, of the entire show so far. This huge action moment where loads of things happened. In the end, you kind of see Ellie step up quite a fair bit in terms of violence and self-defense and protecting herself and protecting others. And then, of course, if you know the Henry and Sam story, it plays out exactly as it plays out in the game. It's quite heartbreaking. And there's this poignant moment where in the game, they wake up in the morning and I think the lads, Henry and Joel, are preparing breakfast, and Ellie goes to Sam to get him. And that's when she discovers. In this show, Sam and Ellie are in the same room overnight and won't stop kind of talking to each other. And everyone's like, go to sleep. And they carry on. And Sam reveals to Ellie what's happened. He shows her his bite wound. And there's just this poignant, touching moment where Ellie cuts herself. She's like, my blood is medicine. And she puts her wound onto Sam's bitten wound in the hope that her blood could somehow help him, whatnot. And it's just a real kind of heartbreaking, heartwarming moment. And then the climax of the show is obviously, you know what it is. Sam becomes affected and Henry does what he has to. It's very powerful. It's a really, really powerful episode. Quite enjoyed having so many different characters in it as well, and kind of rooting for so many people. Like, I didn't like Kathleen, but once I learned why she's doing what she's doing, I wasn't against her. I thought it was kind of harsh what happens with her in the end. You also see our first bloater in this show, and the bloaters are evil. So you only see one, and he comes out from the underground, which you see a snippet of in the trailer, if you remember. There's a little tease right at the end, I think, and this bloater is brutal. He moves really quickly, and he's just efficient killer. Like, he just grabs people and rips their head off and just starts choke slamming people, like all kinds of stuff. So I thought that was done really well. So yeah, all in all, another really strong episode, and I don't know if I'm biased towards it because I love the game so much and recently just played the remake, like maybe last November or October, November when it came out. But I'm just really enjoying this show. I really enjoy how distinct each episode feels. Each episode is so different sometimes in terms of tone, the setting, what characters are taking the spotlight. So it just continues to be brilliant, really does. And if you're a hardcore fan of the game and you were a bit nervous about the show and you're kind of waiting for people to review it and wait to see what people say, go watch it. Honestly, go in with an open mind and watch it. I don't think any hardcore fan of the game will be disappointed. I think they've done the best that they can and even more in some situations. So yeah. Going into now the final half of the season, I think the only thing I'm intrigued with is pre-episode 1. I was quite happy with Pedro Pascal's casting. I thought he kind of looked the part as much as you can. I wasn't sure about Bella Ramsey, but now at this stage, you know, she's really won me over and really carries the spirit of Ellie. And with Pedro's Joel, I don't know, it's just not, he's not bad or anything. It's just not clicking with me for some reason. I don't know, like, I don't know what it is. He's not, like I said, he's not bad. He's very watchable. He's a great actor, you know. He does great work, and I do think he looks the part. His voice maybe doesn't sound the part. I mean, obviously not many people sound like Joel. He has a very distinct accent, but something about Pedro's voice as Joel just doesn't work for me. But it's just something's not clicking, and I'm hoping that in the coming episodes it will click and I'll kind of warm to him a bit more. But yeah, all in all, amazing. Again, 10 out of 10, and cannot wait for episode 6 this coming Monday. So yeah, I hope you're enjoying my rambling random thoughts on The Last of Us episodes as and when they come out. And as always, thank you for watching. Thanks for your support for the channel. And if you enjoyed this, please hit the like button and let me know in the comments what's been your favorite episode so far of The Last of Us TV show. Thank you for watching and take care.